All right, friends, for this video, you're going to need your math notebook, the workbook page that we tore out tonight, 873, 874, and your pencil. So get that real quick. All right, for today's review page, we are going to be using the notes in our notebook from page 156, 157 with frequency tables, 158, 159 over dot plots, and we have our two sheets here. Then 160 and 161, which is our stem and leaf. So we're going to be using that to complete the workbook page that we tore out and took home. So you're on 873 and we're looking at set A. Okay. So we're talking about frequency tables. So it says, remember to make sure your tally marks and numbers match the data. So for number one, it says make a frequency table for the data. If you want, you can do it over here. If you want to do it on another piece of paper, you can. So make your frequency table, and I'm going to make mine, and then we'll check them. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how I set it up first. So far, I just set it up all right here. I have my team names, I have my tallies and my frequencies, and then I listed my team names so far from this information over here. I had the aces, the fire, and the stars. Now I'm going to go through and add my tallies and my frequencies for each one. So go and do yours. Okay, so when I did my tallies, there were 10 for aces, 15 for fire, and 5 for stars. So now I'm going to add my frequencies, which is just the number. So now you can answer the question, how many more people voted for fire than stars? How many more tells me I'm going to subtract fire than stars. How many for fire? 15. How many for stars? 5. I'm going to do 15 minus 5. And that's 10. 10 people. Make sure you write people. Otherwise, I don't know if you're talking about donkeys, cows, birds, chickens, bats. All right. Now, I want you to do set B. You're going to answer these 5 questions using this information over here, and then we're going to check them together. So pause and go do those. So I'm using my dot plot to answer these questions. So the first one says, how many ribbons does Lily have in all? So I'm going to come over here and count. She has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because remember, if there's not a key, each dot represents 1. It also says it up here, though. Each dot represents 1 ribbon. So she has 5 ribbons. It says, what is the length of the longest ribbon? So if I'm looking at my inches down here, the longest one is 5.5. Then 3 says, what is the length of the shortest? Well, the shortest is 4. So the length of the longest is 5.5 inches. The shortest was 4 inches. Now 4 says, which length of ribbon is the most common? Remember, most common means the one that happens the most frequent, or the one that you see the most. So looking at my dot plot, which one do we see the most? 5.5, because this one has 1, 1, 1, but then there's 2, so that one is the most common. The most common is 5.5 inches. It says, for number 5, if the 2 longest ribbons are combined, how much longer are these 2 ribbons than the shortest ribbon? So we're going to have to do a couple steps here. So the first thing it says is, hold on, I'm going to try and move it. If the 2 longest ribbons are combined, well, what are the 2 longest? The 2 longest are the 2 5.5s. So I'm going to combine my 2 5.5s. So do 5.5 plus 5.5 real quick, and then we're going to check that to make sure you got it. Well, I know that 5 plus 5 is 10. And I know if I put half and half together, that's a whole. So I'm going to add one more. So 10 plus 1 is 11 inches. Now that's just the first part of if I do them combined. How much longer, ER word, so I'm going to be subtracting, are these two ribbons than the shortest ribbon? What was the shortest? Well, you could look at number 3, or you could come back over here. The shortest was 4. So I'm going to do 11, because that's my combined, minus the 4. And 11 minus 4 is 7. And we're talking about inches. So 7 inches. Make sure you have all that for the front. Then you're going to turn for set C. I want you to pause, and you are going to do 1 and 2 for set C with stem and leaf plot. Number 1 says to use the stem and leaf plot to the left. So you're using this one over here. It says how many pairs of jeans in stock had waist sizes greater than 30 inches. So my key tells me that a 2 in my stem and a 1 in my leaf equals 21. So I'm looking for, that's 21, 22, 29. None of those are greater than 30, but here I go to 31, 32, 32, 33, 36, 37. All of those are greater than 30. 41, 42, 44. All of those are greater than 30. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pairs. And then how did the stem and leaf plot help you find your answer? I just counted all the ones greater than 30. So I counted the ones greater than 30. Now your answer might be different, but as long as it's along the same lines. So for number 2, you should have made a stem and leaf plot. I'm going to make mine real quick for you to check it. So here's my stem and leaf plot. And make sure you have your key, because for this one, it has decimals. So I need to know that this line in between my stem and leaf represent a decimal. So make sure you have that, and then we'll answer the questions. How much greater is the highest score than the lowest? Well, my highest is 9.8. My lowest is 7.5. So I'm just going to subtract, and I should have got 2 3/10 for my answer for A. B, which is greater, the total of the 4 highest or the total of the 5 lowest? So I'm going to have to go 1, 2, 3, 4 highest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lowest. So I'm going to have to put these 4 together and these 5 together, and then subtract my 2 answers. So when I added my 4 highest, I got 37 5/10. Sorry, you can't see that. When I added my 5 lowest, I got 41 3/10. So which was greater, the total of the 4 highest or the total of the 5 lowest? The 5 lowest scores, because 41 is greater than 37. All right, go ahead and do set D. You're going to answer these 2 questions using this dot plot over here. Then we'll check it. First one says, how does the number of students who ran less than 16 compare with the students who ran more than 16? So I'm going to find 16. How many ran less than 16 laps? I have 1 student, 2 students, 3 students, 4 students, 5 students. So 5 ran less than 16. How many ran more than 16? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 ran more than 16. So if I'm comparing those using greater than, less than, or equal to, what do you get? They're equal. 5 more students ran laps. How many laps would they most likely run? I'd say somewhere between 15 to 18. And how do you know? Well, because that's where most of my dots already are. That's where most of the students already ran. So just explain it. This is for you to study We'll do another one tomorrow night, so make sure it's done, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night.